If you just bought Corel Videostudio, then this video is perfect for you. This is a collection of all the beginner tutorials that I created in the past year. No need to go through my entire channel looking for all the beginner tutorials. You can just simply watch this video from start to finish, and at the end, you will create your very first video like a pro. When you first launch Videostudio 2022, you will be greeted with this window. What I want you to do is go up here into the Edit tab, click it once, and this will bring you into the software itself. The very first thing I want you to do is go into your Settings, Preferences, go into your Performance tab, and make sure Enable Smart Proxy is enabled. You'll see this little ratio. This represents the video size. Now, anytime your video is greater than this video size, it will make a rough copy, a draft version, and this just makes it easier for you to work inside the Video Studio, much easier. However, when you save it, it will use the original video, so fear not, you will never ever lose the quality. So let's press OK and let's get moving. The first thing you can do is you can add a new folder like I have, so you can press the word add here and then you can call it whatever you want. Now I'm going to use the folder called grips, and then what we want to do is import all the video and audio, whatever you have, onto your project. To do this, go up to this folder, import media files, click it once, it opens up a window, and all you need to do is look for where your videos are stored. So I created a folder on my desktop called Begin. To get all these video files into the program, I just click or anywhere in the folder, Control A, which highlights all the footage in there, and I'm just going to use the word open to import the entire project. Alright, so now we have everything here that we need. We click anywhere on the software to unhighlight it, otherwise if you drag it, everything comes at once. I won't go into great detail because you are beginning and you just want to start. This is your main track, so you start using this track first, the top line. So what we can do is we can preview everything within this window. This is your preview window. You want to look for the video that you want to start telling your story with. Simply just click on it once and you'll see it pop up in the preview. You can use the play button here to preview it. Once you are happy with the video that you want to start with, you can then click and drag this video onto that first line called your timeline. Just click and release, and voila. Now if you see that this is highlighted with an orange box around it, and if you play it, it will now play this video rather than the clip from here. Okay, you can use your space bar to stop and start the video as well. You'll see a green check mark in the corner that indicates that this video is on this timeline. Very simple. Let's say, for instance, you don't want to use all this video, you just want to use sections of it. We can actually edit the video before we bring it in. It is called trimming. So I'm just going to remove this clip again by highlighting it and pressing delete. And I'm going to now double click on this. And what it will do, it will pop up a window called the clip trim. In other words, it is just a way that I can look for parts in the video that I want to show. We can do it two ways. We can press the word or just use the play button here. We can look through the video. We can use this little orange thing called the CTI, the current time indicator. Click and drag it to the point where we want to start and finish the video. And we can also use this little wheel here. We go left, it goes backwards. We go right, it goes forwards. Let's keep this simple. Let's say I want to start with the video here. I use this little marker here called the set point in. In other words, this is where the video will start. I will drag this or play it or however you want to do it to the point where I think this is all I want to look at in my video, and I'm going to use the end point, set it out. Once I have this video, I'm going to press OK. Now when I drag this clip into the timeline, you will get a very short version of it, or just the section that you wish to see. The purpose of creating a video is to tell a visual story. All visual stories has a beginning. So let's start there. the first thing we want to do is create some type of intro, something very simple to let the audience know what this video is about. I'm at the beach, so this video is about a day at the beach. There's two ways I can do this. Number one is I'm going to leave the footage onto the timeline. I'm going to go here where it says title 1. I'm going to double click on this track itself, and on the preview window you will now see double click here to add title. So double click. Now you can just start typing your text. So we're going to write in the beach or the day at the beach, whatever it is that you wish. Click anywhere in the preview window and it highlights the text. You can change the text or the font by using these options here. Let's keep it simple. Let's stay with the default, which is the Arial black. I'm going to move my cursor and it turns into a pointer, and then I can click and drag that to reposition my text. And then once I like it, I just release. I want to unhighlight this. Again, I can just check or press anywhere in the software and it will unhighlight it. This thing here, which is called the current time indicator, we can click and drag it, or we can use this little marker here that just brings it to the beginning of the project. You will notice that the video clip and the text track is longer and sitting slightly off. When you see no orange lines around any of these, nothing is highlighted. To highlight it, just click it once. Now we can click and drag this to the beginning, like so. We obviously want the text to be the same length as the video clip or shorter. To do this, move your cursor to the end. It turns into a black arrow. Left click and hold, and then you can slide it to the left. And you can either match the clip above you or go shorter again. Here's a pro tip for you. Generally, we try to keep an intro under 3 seconds. This way you don't lose the attention of the viewer. Okay, so now that we have this, have a quick view of this. So the beach, and the video is playing in the background. So now I'm also going to show you a second option. Another method is just to have the plain text before the video starts. So we already know how to create the title, so let's do that. The issue here is if I was to drag a video file onto the main track, we are right back to the beginning, which is not what we want because we already know how to do this. I need to create a black background and then have the video play. So let's remove that by just pressing the word delete on your keyboard. We can go up into this thing called black backgrounds or backgrounds and then choose black or whatever color you want. We click it once and then we can click and drag it onto the timeline. We can then adjust this the same way we did with the text track. It's highlighted in yellow. Click and drag it to meet the same length as the text. If we want to see everything together, right now it is just on the clip, and we want to see the project, which means both clips at the same time. Click on the project, and again we can use this to go right back to the beginning, and now we can use the word or press play. Good. Now once we're happy with that, we can then again bring that footage onto the timeline, and it will then continue onwards after the text has finished, like so. So let's do that. Nice. Video. Very easy. The next step is now create your story. To do that, we just start adding more and more clips to the timeline. So let's say I have more video footage of me on the beach with my family. All I need to do is, if I'm happy with it, again, we can double click it, go into the trim option. If we've done everything like I showed you, we can then just start click and dragging it to the timeline. Now, you're going to notice that as you added, the screen or your footage starts to disappear. It just keeps moving and moving. If you wish to continue seeing the entire project, you can scale it down by zooming out or in. So we can zoom out, and then this way you can preview the entire project. You can also use the zoom in if you want to go something very specific you want to look at. Or you can use this little thing, and that's basically, it fits everything to the timeline like so. So all the video footage you've put on will then fit it onto the timeline in one go. You can also now use transitions. So if you want to go from one clip to another, like let's go here, it's an aerial view and then walking on the beach. So let's have a look at that. Like so, we're looking at the aerial view, and then we want to make it go into a new look, which is somebody walking on the beach. We have the option called a direct cut, which is basically going from one clip to the next, nothing fancy in between. Or if you want to make it more fun, you can add and transition. So let's do that. You go here in what we call the A/B transitions, and you're going to get a plethora of options. So whatever one that you want to use that. You can preview it, and it gives you a slight demo of how the transition works. If you're happy with that look, click and drag it between the two clips like so, and then release. Again, you can highlight or view this by dragging the current time indicator, press play, and that brings you into the next clip. My professional opinion is try not to use too many transitions because it comes across looking cheap. If you wish to add text as the video plays, let's say just after the transition, you want to add in the word fun. With the video file up here, if you add anything, it automatically takes it to the left. But when you use any of the other ones down here, like the overlay or the title tracks, wherever you click it is where it stays. So if I want to add the word fun here, I go back into the title track, double click. It comes up on the preview window as before, double click, and then you can type in your text, and I'm going to use the word fun. If I click anywhere in the preview window, you'll see yellow boxes go around the outline. I can hold and click and drag it wherever I want. And what these yellow boxes do, if I move that cursor onto one of the yellow boxes, I can then resize this. So I want to make it slightly bigger. While I have it highlighted, if you want to do something like add a little bit of fun to it, keep it highlighted, go into the fonts here, and then you can move it anywhere you want, like so. So let's just keep it up here, but now I want to add some form of motion to it. So I'm going to use the word motion here, and I'm going to apply it. So I'm going to check the word apply, and you'll see a slight preview of what the font is going to do. I can actually view it by pressing the space bar, and I can see what it does. There you go, fun. So you'll also observe that this did not snap to the left, it stayed exactly where I want it. So you can then click and drag this anywhere you want, then release, and it will stay permanently there. And that, my friend, is how you can add a little bit of animation to the text. Next is bringing audio to your project. You've got two options, Music 1 and Music 2. Very simple. Look for your audio file and then click and drag that into either one of them, 1 or 2. Click and release like so. While it's highlighted, you can also then click and drag it to anywhere you want. So let's just push it right to the beginning in line with our video clip. Now you'll notice that the video clip is quite short and the audio track is quite long. There's two ways we can do it. You can hold your cursor right down here, click and drag it, and just move it right in line like so. Or if I Control Z this, if I highlight the last clip and then just move this little indicator here, click it once, it lines it up perfectly. I highlight the audio track, I press the letter S on my keyboard and then delete on my keyboard. Voila. Most of the times you want the audio to fade in and then fade back out. It's very easy listening. The way we can do that is we can double click and another window will pop up, and you'll see here fade in and fade out. Let's highlight both of them. Anything that's on Corel that's blue, that means it's been highlighted. And here we can adjust the length. We can take up to 10 seconds for the video to, or the audio to come in at 100%, or whatever time you want. And fade out is the same way. We can adjust the length of time, how quickly or how long it takes. We have a second option as well. If I use the sound mixer, you'll see this popping up. You'll see these little green or yellow squares, and these are what we call keyframes. So this will tell me that from this keyframe to this keyframe here, the video will go, the audio I should say, will then slowly fade away. If you do not want that keyframe here, you just hold click and move it up and it disappears. So this is how we can do it as well. Now as a beginner, you may come across that you've also got some speech and you've also got background. You don't want the two to cancel each other out. Here is a very simple way. Right click, a new window will pop up or a new panel will pop up, and you have something called audio ducking, and this is brilliant. The background music will play at 100%, but the minute it detects speech, it dramatically reduces the audio on the background music only and not on the speech. As a beginner, I recommend using this. The last step is where we go over everything to make sure everything is according to the way we want it, and then we're going to save the video. So here's something that I think is worth doing. As the video or the audio fades out, you also want the video to fade out. The two together works really, really well. If you want to do something like that, use a transition. Let's go into A/B. What we want to do is fade it to black. There's a lot here to go through. The easiest way to do it is just search fade. You'll see, oh, what am I doing? Search fade. Now you'll see fade to black. Click and drag it to the end of the video clip. What this will do, it'll fade the audio and the video at the same time. Let's just do that first. There you go. Oh, so there's a little bit of a kick noise at the back. If you do want to see anything that's unusual, this is why I always suggest previewing the video before you save it. We can zoom it out as much as you want, and that way you can really see. Okay, so here I have a remnants of a clip that's left over. I can just click on that and then press delete. Little things like that can make a huge impact on the final result. Once you have everything to your desire, go to the share tab up here. Okay, we're in the last interface. There's two ways we can do it. We can use the word MPEG. If you're just rendering it out or saving it for YouTube, I suggest just staying on this one. You also have an option here that it automatically goes to YouTube. Let's stay with the basics. Let's go back up here. For you, you could do something as simple as the same as the project. In other words, whatever you recorded it in, use that. It is probably the best way to do it as a beginner. Also, if you decided that you don't want to do that, always choose MPEG-4, and that'll bring out as an MP4 file. It's a very good file, and the amount of megabytes is very, very low. You can also check here the estimated output, just how big your file is going to be. Once you are happy with everything, all you need to do is name it and then place it in a location on your computer. Once you've done that, just press start, and it will then render out or save the video, and then you can use this video to upload it to YouTube or whatever it is that you want to do with it. In this video, I'm going to teach you all things audio for Corel Videostudio 2022. Simple things from moving the audio from the left speaker to the right speaker. Videostudio makes it quite easy to edit your audio, and I will show you just how easy it is. Let's grab a clip and drop it onto our main track. In version 2022, you immediately can see the wave format. You can edit directly within this, but I'm going to show you a much better way to do so. Right now, we're in the clip mode. If I was in the project mode, what that would actually mean, if I have multiple tracks or clips on multiple tracks, they will all play at once. If I just want to play a singular clip, I just highlight that and it goes into clip mode. The advantage of the clip mode, I get a new option, and that's video audio. If I go into the project, that option is not available, so we must stay in clip mode only. We go into the audio. Now we zoomed in on the WAV file, and here I can make a much better edit. We're going to use this scrubber here and not the one on the timeline. If I did use the one on the timeline, it goes back to project, and this is not what I want. So let's go back to clip, back to the audio file. Let's say I want to make a direct cut here. All I need to do is drag my scrubber, or also known as the current time indicator, right to that point here, and I'm going to press the letter S on my keyboard, and now you'll see that I have also then split the audio clip on the main track. So by working in here, it will also affect this clip or this track here, and that's how easy I can work within Videostudio. By zooming in, I am able to make a much better edit on my audio. To adjust your volume, there are multiple ways we can do this. Let's start off with the basics. Highlight your clip, right click, audio, adjust volume. A little window will pop up, And 100 obviously is 100%. If I want to increase it, I just simply click away. There is a faster way. If I can use this one here, which is the slider, I highlight it blue and pops up. I got a little window. Now I can move the volume up and down, which is a lot easier than trying to click, say, 362 times. I need to close this window first, and then I need to close this window. If I play this clip now, it's going to be quite loud, but hang on. Like I said, so loud it's distorted, and we don't want that. How do I bring this volume back down? I'm going to show you the second way. What we're going to do is the sound mixer tab here, highlight that, turns blue, and then in the Windows I'm going to get a new tab popping up. There we go. Alright, quick explanation here. This is the main track, this is your overlay track, this is your sound record, and this is your music track. If I was to drag this clip down to the first overlay, it would shift everything over to here, and that represents number 1. If I was to drag it to number 2, and so on. Let's bring it back to the main track. What I want to do, I want to adjust that volume because it is quite high right now. I must make sure that my scrubber, which is this here, is at the very beginning of the clip. To do that, I will just use this little icon here, click it once, and now I can use this here to drag the volume up or down. Now be careful, as you can see, if I'm moving this up and down, the entire track increases. However, if I drag the scrubber anywhere in the timeline and then move it up and down, it's going to place a keyframe here, and only this part of the clip, the volume is going to go up and down. And I'll show you. Let's go up. So a little square appeared, which represents a keyframe. So what it's going to do now, it's going to go from the volume on this keyframe and increase it to the volume of this keyframe. If this is something you desire, great. If it's not, be careful. If you do not want that keyframe, very simple, highlight it, left click, and just drag it up, and it just disappears. So just drag it out of the timeline itself. And there you go. That is 2 ways to do it. The third way is what I'm going to show you later on. To mute the audio, there's again multiple ways to do this. The simplistic way is, again, highlight the clip once, right click, audio, first one here, mute. Bingo, you're done. Let's unmute that. Second option is right click, split the audio, and then you'll see here, split the audio. Now what we can do, we can completely remove this audio clip altogether. Voila, now there's no more audio whatsoever in your project. Let's bring that back. If you are trying to edit the video and the audio is constantly playing, there's 2 ways we can eliminate that. If the first time you play it and you're using the scrubber and it also creates the noise or the audio, it can be annoying to turn that off. Settings, preferences, edit tab, and you'll see here, enable audio while scrubbing. I don't like to have this personally because if I'm trying to make multiple edits constantly, I'm always hearing that background noise and it can be quite annoying. However, you may want to do that in case you're trying to specifically pinpoint a part of the audio track that you need to edit. Press OK. If you are working on your track and you do have that enabled, instead of going up to settings to disable it for a very short period, you can just simply use this little icon here, which obviously says mute, unmute. And there you go. Now you've removed it as well. To change the balance in your audio, simply use the sound mixer icon once again. Over here we have the option of changing it from the left to the right. Wherever I place my scrubber is where the adjustment will be made. So if I now move this little icon to the left, you'll see a keyframe here, and that would then indicate that the audio will be sitting on the left. If I move it even further and I move it to the right, again it will then make a new keyframe. So wherever you make the adjustment, a keyframe will be formed automatically. Right now we are in the stereo mode, and I like to be able to use the Dolby Surround or the 5.1 channels. This is a little bit tricky. We have to go into settings, project properties. We have to choose DVD, because predominantly you're going to be using a DVD to do this. I doubt you'll ever have 5 surround down on your telephone. Go into the Edit tab. Once this little window opens up, go into the Compression tab. In the Compression tab, you have Audio Format. If you click down, you'll have the option of Dolby Surround Sound or 5.1 channels. Click 5.1 channels, press OK. If you're happy with it, press OK. This will now turn to surround sound, and now you have the ability to move this around to anywhere you wish. Audio ducking is a great tool that automatically drops down the volume of music in the background as you are speaking. Here I have a clip in the timeline where this is the intro, and all I did was added a music clip in the background. In this video, as you can see, the music is quite loud, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use the audio ducking feature. Go into your music track, right click, audio ducking. You can use these controls to create sensitivity and so forth. Let's leave this at the default. Press OK. I will now show you that it automatically lowered the volume. So if I do the same thing again, press play. In this video, I'm going to teach you all things audio for Corel. So as I'm speaking, it has lowered the volume. Anytime that I've stopped speaking, it will then increase the volume. For over here, for example, to the right. So if an absolutely... Alright, so obviously my music track is shorter than my audio track. It doesn't matter, you get the general idea. So whenever you are speaking, the volume of the music will go down automatically. When you stop, it will increase. And everything is done automatically for you. Changing the duration on your audio clip. For example, if you want your audio clip to be the same length as your main track, double click. A new option panel will open up, basic tab, and here you have the speed control. Obviously, if you speed it up or slow it down, it will change the audio. I would recommend to use instrumental audio rather than vocals, otherwise it's going to sound really silly. If I want to match this clip to this clip, I can just simply use this little icon here and start clicking until it matches. There is a simpler way. I can highlight my soundtrack, move my cursor to the end where it's black, hold down the shift key, left mouse button, and click and drag. Easily done. You have an option of 8 music tracks. Simply go into the track manager here, music track, drop down menu, and you've got up to 8 audio tracks you want to add. If for some odd reason you need one more, you can use the audio track, click it up, and use the voice track. It does the same thing. Auto music. What is auto music? It's a great tool. Basically what it does, Corel Videostudio automatically shortens the length of the audio in time with where you want it to start or the entire clip. For example, if I drag my scrubber here and I use auto music, the music will start where the scrubber is. I want it the entire clip. I'm going to drag the scrubber to the beginning, highlight my clip, and then I'm going to use this icon here called auto music. I'm presented with a new menu, category, song, and version. Let's do something as electronica, city night groove, and private party. I can preview it by pressing play. Alrighty then. Auto trim, have that checked because it will trim to the exact length of my clip, and then I'm just simply going to click add to timeline, and voila. It also has a fade in and a fade out, so it's perfectly in line with your project. Just before I go, I will show you something else. It's kind of neat. If you go into the sound tab here, you have an option of sound effects, multiple sound effects, funny noises, bells, whistles, people laughing and applauding, absolutely for free. Triple Scoop Music is a paid service. I've never used it. I just quite frankly find it too expensive when there are free options available on the internet. Adding an FX filter, why would you do that? Well, in case you hear a hiss or a hum and you want to clean that up, you can do that by using the filters. Any audio track, it doesn't matter. Let's just right click here on the music track. You will see audio filter. So let's say you want to polish it or make it nicer. We can use New Blue Auto Polish. Click add. Now we've applied the filter to it. We can also now go into the option menu here, and this gives you lots of dials. I won't explain what these do because that's a whole different tutorial on its own. There is a second way we can do this as well. We can go into the FX filters here, and you'll see an icon here called Sound FX or Show Audio Filters. If you want to use any of these, click, drag, apply. You'll see a star here. Click it once, audio filter, New Blue, and here we go. It's exactly the same way. I think the first option that I showed you was much faster. Audio fade in, fade out is done relatively easy. Highlight your clip, sound mixer icon, go into the attribute tab. You'll see here fade in, fade out. Just click it once, it turns blue. You will see on your timeline a keyframe has been added to indicate that the volume from this keyframe to this keyframe will then decrease. If you move your cursor over to the keyframe, left click, hold, you can drag this keyframe anywhere you want, so in case you want the fade to start earlier or later. A good combination to use this is with a fade out on your main track or your main video. We can use something like a transition, go fade to black, click and drag. Now your clip and the audio will fade together. Let's simply start by creating a text. So title 1 or title 2 makes no difference. Double click, go into your preview window, again double click, and then start creating your text. Simply I'm just going to type in the word text. Now I'm going to go over to the right hand panel over here. I'm going to go to font, and I'm going to use the alignment tool and just click center alignment. All this does is just places it perfectly into the center. You're also wondering what this little box is. This is your title safe area. In other words, it's trying to tell you keep all the text within this little box here. If you do not see this box, go settings, preferences, come down into the general tab, display title safe area on. Just click it and press OK, and that'll bring up that little title save area. Video Studio offers you multiple ways of creating text motions. Let's have a look at something simple first as the presets that it offers. If you do come across this type of layout where it's all over here, you can simply use this little icon here, click it once, and then that brings up all the little presets of different types of motion. You can simply click on it and then watch the preview. The problem with this one is, if I did use one of this, let's go in, click and drag it to the timeline, double click on it, I can now change the wording, but that means the font that comes with it stays the same. So therefore I must then also start changing the font just simply to get this motion effect. And I believe this is too cumbersome when there are simple, easier ways to do it. Let's go back to the original text. Now, before I go on, let me show you two little tips or tricks that could actually help you out later on. If you want to change the length of the text, simply take your cursor to the end and see until it turns into a black arrow, and just hold down the left mouse key. You will now see that this entire clip is only 3 seconds long. If you want to change it, drag it left or right, and as you can see, it adds more time, or if you take it the other way, left, it takes away time. Now, also, if you want to place your text on a certain part of your clip or in your movie, like let's say you want it to start at the 5-second mark, watch this. I'm going to highlight the clip, and you can tell it's highlighted again with the orange box. Again, left mouse, and now you see the counter underneath. And what this is going to do is going to tell you, as you drag it along, where the clip will start. Now we want it at the 5-second mark. So now we can see underneath this 5 seconds. You are now perfect on the 5-second mark, and you can release. So this is a really interesting way of getting precisely where you want the text to start, and also you can change the length of the text. Keep that in mind. Let's go back to the first text that we created. All I want you to do is double click onto that text track. You'll see now that your preview window has a small box surrounded by the text. And what this does, it opens up more options for the text. You now have here tabs, and you'll see one of the tabs is called motion. I want you to check the apply, and what this is going to do is going to give you a whole bunch of presets, but some of these presets can be customized to your needs. If you want to see the effect, make sure, or any of these, double click, you'll see a yellow box, and then press play in your preview window. Therefore you can see exactly what it does. Great. Let's go back to the text motion. Now over here you'll see that you have more options to customize it. Currently it's telling you that it's going by letter per character. You can change this, say per word, per line, or the whole text. You can also have the option where as it goes in or up, let's say we want the marker to go up and then we want the marker to go back down. So anytime something is highlighted in blue, that means that's the effect that's being applied. Now we can also change the duration here by pausing it. And again, Some of them, not all of them, can be customized. For example, if I go into, say, the fade option here, I get different customization options here. Just go through it. Now, in my humble opinion, this is the easier and best way for a beginner to start learning how to create text motion. Let's do a small demonstration on how you would go about creating motion on text. So you've got your text in your timeline, and I'll show you there's two ways you can actually highlight it. You can double click it while it's in the timeline, or just move your cursor over the text and click it once, and this automatically then highlights it as well. The first thing I want to do, I want to add in more text. So I just go to the end of the text, double click, and that gives me the cursor. I'm going to type text in twice. There you go. Now, I'm also going to show you how you can recenter this. The easiest way is just to click and drag it to where you think it's going to be center. But I will show you another way which is actually quite good. We go back into the font tab. The easiest way is hit this alignment and it puts it right in the center. However, we can go even more critical than that. Show grid lines, check that. And also, if you go into the settings, you check snap to grid. You can change these settings on the grids here, but I'm going to show you what it does. As I'm clicking and dragging, it's automatically going to snap to the grid lines. If you want something precise because of a video that you're making, this comes in very, very handy. For now, I'm not going to use it, so I'm going to uncheck it. I'm going to go into the motion tab, and I'm going to apply the effect of any text animation. Let's just do as simple as this pop-up. You will see that if I press play, there it is, text. Now I want to customize this option. So again, I'm going to highlight my text. Again, it gives me this option of customizing it. It's got character start unit. I may wish to do the whole word, and I may also wish to do the line as it leaves. It's going to come in from the bottom, it's going to leave at the bottom. Well, I'm going to come in from the top left and see the difference that it makes. Here we go. Let's play that. Alright, so I've customized everything to what I wanted. Now I can still play even further. Let's do the line in here as well. And let's have a look at that. There you go. So as you can see, I have more control on what the text does. But is there even a better version or a better way? And can I even have more control on how I customize? And the answer is absolutely yes, and I will show you how that is done. Let's take a look at another method on creating custom text. Now this is more of an advanced movement, but again, it is simple to follow and understand. All we need to do again is create any text that you wish. On your clip, right click, and a new menu pops up, and you'll see here motion options. Go to custom motion, and a new panel will give you some options. Okay, if you look at it, it's very basic to understand the position of where this is currently. If you want it dead center, you could just simply type in 0, and that would then make it dead center. The size of the text, the opacity, in other words, how clear, you can make it to the point where you can almost make it disappear, like so. So it's pretty straightforward when you're just looking at it. Rotation, the shadow, in case you have a white background and you want black text with a shadow on the white background, you can create that, and you can even flip it. Again, these are pretty basic to understand, but where it gets a bit tricky is when you want to do something with the text. For example, you want the text to go from here to here to here, and let's say you want to bounce it off the wall or something. So you want to create something very unique, and this is where keyframes plays a huge part. If you look along this little timeline, you'll see here a node, and that's a keyframe. Anytime I make an adjustment, this keyframe will represent all the new numbers here. Let's have a look at the position. I'm going to click and drag this, and you can see that the positioning is changing. If I release it, it stays there. So now this keyframe is telling the text to be at this position. It's pretty basic to understand. So let's do something very simple. Let's just for now move the text from left to right. So to do that, I'm just going to click and drag this. Now obviously the mouse is going to be limited. I cannot move it any further. So I can also then just click it. Alright, so the line is not straight because the y-axis tells me this. So I can simply just type in 0, and now it'll be straighter. Now watch what happens when I play it, because it's going to go from this keyframe to this keyframe. And if I click on this keyframe, because now it's blue, if I click on it, it'll go red. It'll tell you all the new positionings of the X and Y axis. So let's play it and you'll see what I mean. There you go. If you want to add in keyframes anywhere along the timeline and then give it new orders or new commands, simply add keyframe by using this one here. So now we can do something as simple as, well, I want you to go here. We can now make it go even further, and I said, well, you want to do it here. And the process just repeats itself until you get the desired results that you're after. And then for the last keyframe, we can bring it right back to the center, and if we play it, it'll do exactly what I said I would do. Make it come in, down, and bounce off the walls. And that, my friends, is more of an advanced way of making text motion simply by using keyframes. If you are interested to see how this really works in more detail, like with shadows and borders and mirror and fades in and all that, leave a comment and I will make a more advanced tutorial on this. But this is the simplistic way to do it. Now I'm also showing you this because there is still one more option that you have in creating motion in text. That does involve keyframes. We can also add FX filters to our text. So if we go into the FX filters, you'll see here title effects. Now you can apply any of these filters if you want, but let's just stick to something very basic and use title effects. I'm going to use the throw stone. I'm going to click, hold, and drag this and place this onto my text track. You'll now see a star pop up. If I left click on this star, you can go filter, stone throw, and this allows you to get into the actual filter itself. And like the custom motions, this involves keyframes. We can just simply press play and see what the effect is, like so. And again, if we want to add in keyframes and change it, we do this by adding here, add keyframe. And then we have these options to change it. Now every filter will obviously come with different options, but they all remain the same when it comes to keyframes. Some will not even have keyframes. It'll just give you one option that's going from this point to that point. But most filters will give you a keyframe. We can even still go for one step further, and that is use a very specific keyframe or a very specific filter. What I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to go onto this star again, left click it. I'm going to delete this filter just to save confusion. I'm going to click and drag this one onto my text track, and the same thing, filter, new blue title of Pro. Okay, so this is a way more of an advanced filter. It does require its very own tutorial, but I'm letting you know about this so you're aware that there are still more options available when it comes to making text or the text motion. No, I don't want to use that. Now here's an interesting thing as well. You can apply as many filters to your text as you wish, and then still, if you right click it, have the option of going to customize your motion yet again. So as you can see, there is many ways that we can create text motion or even effects when we come to using Corel Video. I think most people just are not aware of just how much it can be done. Now you think, well, that's it. No, you still have one more option, and that is the 3D title editor. So what this one does, it does virtually everything I've just explained to you, but it does this in 3D. 3D text is just that. It's basically text in 3D. As you can see, it's just 3D. And it's the same thing as the Title of Pro. It's quite advanced. You have a lot of options here with keyframes. You can change many things like the material that you want to place on the actual product like your 3D text can be of a plastic cover or anything like that. But this would require a whole new tutorial because it is quite complex and it's quite advanced. But for now, let's just stay with the basics because you are a beginner. And I've just given you many options of creating text motion within Corel Videostudio. Very simple. We put a footage onto the timeline, we highlight it, and we go over here to the speech to text. We just click it once. A little window pops up and it gives you two options, timeline and subtitle editor. Simply put, if you hit timeline and you hit start, it scans and it goes automatically into your timeline on your title track. Boom, you are done. And it does a pretty good job. Before you launch it, you can actually change the attributes of the text itself, like the size, the fonts, whatever it is. Either way, it's up to you. You also have the option to do this afterwards, which I will show you. I recommend to go for the subtitle editor because you have more control. As soon as I press start, it transcribes my text. So when I get into the actual software, everything is already set up for me. Now let's have a look at what I'm doing, or what I'm saying, not what I'm doing, what I'm saying. Let's go. And here's a demonstration just to show you how quickly the software can convert my voice. Now have a look at that. It did it 100% perfect, and I'm very, very impressed with that. I use Dragon Naturally Speaking, and it doesn't even come close to this. So I'm very impressed with this software already. You'll have a couple of options up here. It goes into sections, like obviously I took a small pause and it goes on to the next clip. So the software picked this up as well. And obviously the last two things I said, into text. Into text. Now you have control here as far as how long you want the subtitles to stay on, or when do you want the subtitles to appear and when do you want the subtitles to go off. You can do this through this option here, time offset. And it looks a bit complicated, and to be honestly, there's a much easier way to do this, and then it's just simply just click on here, and then you can just move the time or the frame rates to whatever you want, make it shorter or longer, and it's just so much simpler and fast. You don't need to sit there and worry about it all. Now you can go through your text. Let's say you're looking at something and you go, that's wrong. Then you can just click on here once, and then you have the options to change that text. For example, I may wish to have a big A instead of a little a. If I'm happy with that, I'll just click anywhere and I'm done. You can go through all of this and then you're good to go. You have an option here of different languages. So I can speak Dutch because I am Dutch. I can also, if I'm doing everything in Dutch, it translates it into Dutch. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of options currently available. Once you are happy with everything, it's simple. You press OK. If you're not happy with it and you think the software can do a better job, scan it again. But I'm pretty happy with it because, like I said, this is 100% correct. I'm going to press OK, and it's going to automatically do the same thing, put everything onto the timeline like so. And here's a demonstration. Just now, once I have done this and I say, wow, look at this, there's still a mistake, dopey me didn't see it, you can now treat this as a normal text title track, double click, and then it brings the cursor, and then again you can change everything in here and have the options in the standard, the editing software. If you're going to upload this to YouTube, there's two ways we can actually approach this. I'm just going to clear out this timeline so I can show you something else. Using exactly the same clip as the demo, let's go back into the subtitle editor itself. So subtitle editor, press start. We know it works 100%. Okay, now once you've finished with everything and you're happy with it, you have two options. Do you want to have the subtitles on your video and then upload that to YouTube? Therefore, the person who's watching does not have the option to actually turn it off. In YouTube, you will see that you have a thing called CC. In other words, YouTube will then put in the speech to text. You can also add this in by yourself by saving the file as an SRT. So export the subtitle file by you clicking here, and this is going to create an SRT file. So let's do that. Let's create it on my desktop, and I'm just going to type in the word test because I'm very, very creative. And now let's go to YouTube. Let's begin by uploading a video. So create, upload videos. And I'm just going to drop and drag, or drag and drop my clip called demo. There you go. So let's pretend that you've set everything up already. And now what you want to do is you want to go right to the bottom. Well, you don't even have to do that. You just press next. All right, add subtitles. So what you want to do is you hit the word add, and then you go look for that SRT file. Upload this file without timing, with timing. We want with the timing, so luckily the SRT already has this. And let's go look for the test file here, and it will upload it here. And there you go. Everything that I said or that was done in Video Studio is now on the SRT. I can upload it here and then press done. That means if somebody's watching me, they have the option of turning off the subtitles, and that gives you more control, or gives you, as the creator, your viewer, more options. And I think that's pretty neat. Okay, to that one guy that's still watching my video till the end, I'm going to show you my little hack. Something I've been doing that's made my life a lot easier just by using this speech-to-text tool. I'm going to go into the voiceover, and I'm going to click yes, I want that. And I'm just going to type, or just say something very simple. Hi everybody, it's wonderful to have everybody here watching me today. Very simple. I'm going to highlight that clip, go into the speech to text, subtitle editor, and press start. Alright, now sometimes it doesn't come up. That's okay. I can just scan it again. It will come up. Right, now once I do have it, I'm going to save this as an SRT file. Yes, desktop, and I'm going to type in test 2 or 3, whatever it is, and press save. And I'm done with that. I don't need any more, so I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go to my desktop and look for that file, text 2. As you can see, I've already got one here from the the video before, and I'm just going to use the WordPad to open this. So I'm going to double click it, it'll open up, and voila, now it's on my WordPad. I don't need the timestamp, so I'm going to delete this. Hi everybody, it's wonderful to everybody here watching me today. What I've been doing is whenever I write something for my Facebook page or anything like that, instead of typing it out, I've been using the speech to text, then exporting it onto my Word document, and from here I can then just put it straight into Facebook. And I'm telling you, this is saving me so much time because I am the slowest typer in the world, and this is helping me a lot. Before we begin, let's go into the settings, preferences, and I'm just going to see if we can make your system perform a little bit better. Undo, I go up to about 30. I think anything beyond 30 is ridiculous. That means you clearly have made too many mistakes. Start again. Don't waste time with going undos. Go into the edit tab, resampling quality, set it to best, and make sure enable audio while scrubbing is also checked. And this is important, and I'll show you that later. Performance check, enable smart proxy, but uncheck auto generate. And this will be automatically checked for you. Enable decoder and encoder. If you are having trouble with the system running slow, uncheck these. That's all I need to do to set up the computer to run at its best. I press OK. My very first tip that I can give you is trim your videos before you actually put it onto your timeline. This is a huge time saver. Let's have a look at a little clip here. I'm going to play, and there's like a 2-second pause. Let's go right to the beginning. Now, every second that I don't say anything is a second that I could lose my audience. So I want to make sure that I get your attention as quick as possible. I'm going to show you 2 little tips that I use here. I don't use the word play. I use this little slider here. If I move this forward and hold it, it plays at half the speed. But this allows me exactly where I know I'm going to start talking. So I'm using this little wheel and this icon only. So once I start speaking, I know I'm very close. I'm just going to use the little wheel just to make a slight adjustment. Bingo. I think this is right. And then I'm going to press my in point here. And I'll do this exactly the same thing on the out point. And then once my video is trimmed, I'm then going to bring it into the timeline. And this is going to save me a huge amount of time. The next tip I can give you is start using some simple shortcut keys. So we are familiar with the Control A, which highlights everything on your timeline. Control C, V, and X, so they are standard across all platforms. Control and paste. I'm also going to show you something else. So let's say, for instance, I've got a video clip here of 3 seconds and 23 frames, but I need it to be 3 seconds and 20 frames. The easiest way to do this is use the shortcut D, and what this allows is move it back 1 frame at a time. So now I'm exactly on 3 seconds and 20 frames. If I want to make a quick edit, like a split the video, I'm just going to press the letter S on my keyboard, and this then splits my video immediately. It just saves you 1 or 2 seconds. But if you have a very long video, 1 or 2 seconds adds up quickly. I'm just going to Control Z this back to the beginning. Now, if you want to fit the entire project into the timeline, you can use this icon here, which does fit everything neatly into the timeline. But you could also use Control and your mouse wheel, which then also zooms in and out onto your project. I find this much easier than using the sliders up here, because I can zoom in as much as I want and I can zoom out as much as I want. The last tip I can also give you is, if you're going to insert a new video into your timeline, you want to make sure ripple editing is checked. So to do that, highlight the little link chain here, and then you can just see anything that's blue that indicates that if I was to make any edit, like if I was going to drag a new clip onto the timeline, then everything would move forward in unison. If I did not do that, only the first layer would move and every other layer would stay exactly where they are. So if I'm using, say, something like music or text, they will go out of alignment and it's going to look really weird, and then you're going to spend a lot of time trying to fix that. Ripple editing is a huge time saver. There are two types of jump cuts, and I'm going to show you the first one. So in the beginning I asked you to make sure that audio while scrubbing was enabled, and I'm going to show you the reason why. Let's go to the wave format. So now we're having a look at the audio. So while I'm scrubbing, I can hear the audio. Now, with the first jump cut, what we do is we eliminate all the places where there is no speech. So we're literally jumping from this audio to that audio. And the reason why I use the audio scrubbing, so I know exactly where to insert or delete the sections. So there's no audio here. So let's have a listen right now how it would sound.
5 tips to lose weight easily. Tip number 1, movement. Just keep.
So when I went from losing weights to tip number 1, there was like a 1 or 2 second. Now we could tidy this up with a jump cut. So let's go right to the beginning of this here. Like even here, right here, I can already eliminate this one here. S on the keyboard, delete that section. Let's go to the next one here. S on the keyboard, the start of the audio, S again, delete this section. And I'll do this all the way through my video. So I can see here is another dead wave file. S, highlight the section and delete. So now let's listen to it with the jump cuts.
5 tips to lose weight easily. Tip number 1, movement. Just keep moving. Do not sit for too long.
So that's what a jump cut is. It just literally gets rid of all the empty spaces. The second jump cut is quite unique as well. Now, just because I've eliminated all the dead noise, if I'm going to be sitting there talking to you directly for 5 minutes, there is nothing there to reset your attention. So what we do is what we call a quick zoom. So let's go into the timeline around about 5 seconds. I'm going to make a split, maybe talk for 3 or 4 seconds. So up to 8 seconds, a split again. I'm going to highlight the clip, and then I'm going to drag in a crop filter. So I may use something like crop borders, drag it on there, double click, customs filter, and the zoom in. That's all I want. So I'm not going to use any keyframes. Uncheck the keyframe, zoom in, and press OK. So what this is going to do, as I'm talking, I zoom in, and 4 seconds later it's going to zoom back out. But that is just enough for you to reset your attention. Let's have a look.
Just keep moving.
Do
not sit for too long. Don't watch TV for too long.
And back out. And that's the second jump cut. So I got 2 footages on my timeline. One is me speaking, and then the second one is me going, or my intro. So if I play it now, it's a direct cut. It goes from one footage to the next. But we can use a thing called J cut or an L cut, where I can hear the next video coming before I can see it. And that lets the audience know there's something coming or something is changing. So let's do that. Let's first go into the wave format, and I'm going to drag this clip onto the overlay track, and I'm going to bring it underneath the first clip. Round about here is what I want. So I'm going to talk, but then you're going to start hearing the next clip coming in.
So again, just
okay. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to split my audio, and I'm put that onto the audio track. And then all I want to do is eliminate this part of the overlay track. Otherwise, I can't see myself talking. So I'm just going to bring the CTI, highlight this clip. I'm just going to bring it to the end of that track there. So now I know it's perfectly in line. I'm going to highlight this clip, press S, and just delete that first clip like that. So now watch this. All right. So obviously it's a bit loud, so what I want to do is right click on this and I will fade the audio in. And I can adjust that as well. So let's have a look at this now. So there you go. By simply doing a J cut, it lets the audience know, hey, there's something coming, it's a transition of some type. So that way that you ease into it. The L cut is in complete reverse, where I'm going to see the video, but not quite hear the audio, because I'm going to let the audio play out, but I'll do the same thing. I'll then fade out the audio and then bring in a new clip on top of that. So let's go just grab anything randomly like this. Bring it just slightly underneath, and then I'm going to do the same thing.
Okay, thanks for watching.
So now this audio is still going to be part of this video clip, or this video clip you'll see first before you hear the audio, and that is then called the L cut, because as you can see it's shaped like the letter L, this is shaped like the letter J. B-roll is a very effective way to keep your audience engaged. So this clip I have on the timeline, it's roughly about 1 minute, and the last thing I want to do is just sit there and look at you for 1 minute, because I'm pretty sure you don't want to see me for 1 minute. So I'm going to use things like B-roll to captivate you or reset your attention. So here I am talking about how to lose weight, and I've got 5 tips. Have a quick listen.
To lose weight easily.
Alright, so where I say lose weight easily, I'm going to make a marker here, and then I'm going to drag in a still image and place it right under that marker where I was talking about weight loss. So this then represents someone trying to lose weight. I'm going to then shorten this clip. So what it's going to do, as I'm talking, I'm going to direct you to something else.
To lose weight easily.
Okay, so I can make this anywhere I think it's appropriate. So let's keep listening.
Tip number 1.
So tip number 1, I can do 2 things here. I can go to the title track, create basically tip number 1. Tip 1 like that. And again, I've reset your attention so you can see something new that's happening in front of you. I may shorten that as well. Let's have a look.
Lose weight easily. Tip number 1, movement. Just keep moving.
Okay, now I could also make this onto the image file itself. Now if I'm going to use a long image file, and let's get out of this completely, and I'm going to use a long image file. Let's go over here back into my project, and I have a photo of a house. Now imagine I'm trying to tell people about how wonderful this house is. Now just looking at this image, even for 2 or 3 seconds, can get quite boring. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to animate this by going FX, and I might use something like a zoom filter or pan and zoom. So here, pan and zoom, and if I play it now, you can see that I've actually talking about the house, but now physically made the video or the image come to life. And this is another form of B-roll. It's a very effective way to do it, and I'm going to show you one more method, and that's just using video itself. So let's go back into here. I may grab my video again talking about weight loss, and as I'm talking about weight loss, I'm most likely going to talk about, oh, let's go to the gym. So I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to grab a bit of footage from the gym. I'm going to mute the audio from the gym because I'm not interested in that. Mute. So again, as I'm talking.
Don't watch TV for too long. Don't sit behind the computer for too long. Keep moving.
And that's what B-roll does. And again, it resets your attention and gives the audience something else to look at. Another little tip or trick that I can show you with using attention resetter is I'm going to flip where I'm sitting. So I'm going to highlight the overlay clip, go to the end, highlight the main track, split the track, and just maybe until I go to another B-roll. So predominantly that's within about less than 10 seconds time. I'm going to do this again, split the video. I'm not going to delete anything. Instead, I'm going to apply a new filter called the flip filter. So let's have a look for that. The flip filter, here it is. And what I'm doing here is I'm sitting differently now. So I'm going from this angle, watching the B-roll, but when you come back, I'm sitting on this angle. And this is very effective if it's a long range shot. It looks like you're using multicam, but in actuality, all I'm doing is just flipping my footage so it looks like I'm sitting differently. And again, it catches you off guard and gives you another attention resetter. There you go. So I hope all these little tips and tricks helps you with your workflow and your editing to make it faster and more pleasurable. And eventually what it does, it makes your audience retain their attention and keeps looking at your videos. And as always, thanks for watching.